Hey guys, Greg here, Bone Tactical. So we're trying a new type of cigar story with Mr. Bone today. A friend of mine asked me here in Roatan, Honduras, to go out and check out his tour company and do some diving and whatnot and some really cool stuff. And it was a really great opportunity to show you guys some and talk about some actual stories. One of them happened literally as I started filming. I was walking out right before I started filming. I'm walking out on this dock. There's a dock a little bit back behind me where he picked me up from the boat. And there was a couple guys there arguing about who had the rights to the area to work in that area. And there were some local guys, and one of them had a steak knife, and the other one didn't even realize it. And he pulled the steak knife out of his waistband and cupped it in his hand like this back behind, so you couldn't see it. And he was holding it like this. And since I was just walking out on the dock and walked up behind, I noticed that. So we're gonna try something new with these cigar stories, and I'm going to use some lessons and stories, and then, well, basically I'm going to take some stories and try and convert them into life lessons, stuff that we can learn from stuff that I've seen and that's happened to me. This is Roatan. It's a destination. At the end of the video, I'll plug the guy who has the tours. So if you want to come down here, it's an awesome place to visit. It's cheap. It's absolutely beautiful. Look at this is Half Moon Bay and West End over here. Definitely worth checking out. I'll link all the stuff in the end. At the end of the video, you'll see, that's a one-stop shop. That guy's got all your connections for snorkeling and whatever the heck you want to do. If you want, comment in the comment section, and I'll let you know what the best way to get here and, best deals and all that. But, here, the Bay Islands of Honduras is probably, I would consider Utila a bit more, but probably the top budget-friendly destination, especially for divers in the world. One of the coolest places you can vacation and still have it be somewhat semi-affordable. So from there, we went around and we did some snorkeling. We went over to Anthony's Cay, and we saw some dolphins over there, which I have to say, I'm gonna, superimpose all this footage over the top here, the dolphins and everything. I have to say, with the dolphins, they said they had like 19 dolphins in this tiny little enclosed area. I'm totally going to say that I'm not, I don't support that in any way. Would never stay there, would never pay to, have somebody, have the dolphins do tricks or whatever. I really just don't think that's proper treatment of an animal. Anyway, I got to plug that. Then we went out and snorkeled. This is part of the Mesoamerican reef system here. So it's the second largest reef in the world after the reef system in the world after the Great Barrier Reefs. We stayed in a house over here the other day. I would get up in the morning and swim out, 600 yards and be on absolutely a beautiful reef and snorkel and whatnot. Just crazy, stunning, beautiful turtles and wildlife and, all kinds of crazy different animals and underwater and on the island as well. Just really cool stuff. So the second story that I'll share with you, and then at the end we'll, give some pro tips, is a guy that got killed out here who was a volunteer for the reef system. And this happened probably 8 or 9 years ago. And it's just kind of something interesting. We'll talk about a little bit about crazy stories and violence and whatnot, stuff that I've seen. And then we'll try to relate it to a lesson. What lesson can we take from that? So the story goes, there's Marine Patrol volunteers that go out and patrol the reef, and they basically, it's sad. It's a catch-22 because a lot of the locals have lived their entire life and for generations, living off of the reef. It's amazing. You can just go right out there and catch lobster, spearfish, whatever. Well, it being illegal now is just it's a big thing. And the locals still do it. And I don't know, I think you should be able to live for sustenance, right? It's different if you're commercial fishing or something like that, or for fishing for pleasure. But if you're a local person, go out and, harvest every once in a while what you need to eat, that's a different story. I think conservation is a big deal. I'm a huge proponent of conservation, sustainable fishing, sustainable hunting, but that's for another day. Anyway, so these volunteers for the Marine Patrol, they go out on a little boat and they kind of, they're not armed or anything. And they go out and they say, hey, you shouldn't be doing that. You shouldn't be, taking fish off the reef, whatnot. And, it's something that's good to do. It's obviously got to be difficult when you're talking to a local who's poor and, that's what they've done for generations. But it's good that they're out there it's good that we have people that want to take care of this because, the coral's dying off, the fish are being killed off. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done as far as maintenance goes just because of how much terrible stuff people are doing, polluting the waters and bringing, contributing to the lionfish exploding populations, all kind of stuff like that. But so it got dangerous for these guys, obviously, at some point, because they're telling people, you know, don't fish, and people have to fish to live. So they put a military escort with these guys for a little while. And then there was kind of just a hazing going on between the military escort and the Marine Patrol guys. And one of the Marine Patrol guys was just joking with him the whole day. And, you know, towards the end of the day, I guess the military guy had enough and just shot him right in the face and killed him right there. And that's the story with that. So that's the two stories. Violent, tragic murder by a military person. And the other story is, you know, two guys fighting for territory. One of the guys had his concealed weapon pulled out and at the ready, while the other guy was just talking crap to him and didn't even know that the guy had the knife in his hand. So what are the two lessons we can take from that? One is, you know, always try and be a little bit more low profile, you know, try and keep a low profile. Don't assume that you're Billy Badass or whatever, that you're, you know, that this is your territory. Both guys in this situation were assuming, you know, hey, I'm from here, this is my territory, this is my deal. One of the guys was like either hazing or joking or harassing the other person, and then the other guy was just like saying, you know, I'll do what I want, Well, you just have to be very careful. You never know who is going to be, you never know who's having a bad day, who has a weapon on them, who's got a screw loose. So I think really the big thing we can take from this is, yeah, come down to Roatan, vacation, just come down with the vacation mentality, and we can take this every day. Just let stuff slide off your back. There's a time and a place to stand up for what's right, but it's not ego. Anytime you let your ego get involved, it's gonna kind of probably just be a bad situation. There's really almost never a good time to let your ego control you. You don't ever have to, you know, be big and tough and fight for the spot. Just concede, and no reason to haze other people, no reason to mess with other people. If you joke with somebody and you see that they're not taking it well, in the case of the military guy, stop joking with them. Just leave them alone, let them be. And I think, you know, that's a huge life lesson. Not only can we be much more successful by thinking about others and being considerate, and, you know, not always having to impose the way we want things, not always having to be, you know, ego driven, big, tough, the smarter, the best looking, the funniest, the best, or whatever. Not letting ego control, I think, is just a big advantage in life in general, that where we can not get something happen to us when we run across the wrong person. It's like you know, the famous mom always says, you're going to do that to the wrong person one of these days. Well, that's just the life lesson right there. And then the first part is, you're going to do this to the wrong person one of these days. The second life lesson is, don't do it at all, and be a little bit more successful, and, you know, let things go more smoothly for you in general. Why not just concede? And again, in closing, there's always a time and a place. There's always a time to stand up for what's right. There's always a time and a place to draw the line. But on a daily basis, just let people, you know, have the benefit of the doubt. Just say, okay, man, you're right. You know what? You're right. That's cool. Let's do it your way. Or that's fine. You do what you want. I'll do what I want. It's just always better to try and find a friendly way to, you know, kind of end things or get along with everyone else whenever possible. That's the tip for the day. Hope you guys enjoyed this cigar story. And here we go with a little bit of an overlay as well. One more intro into a really good tour connection of a really cool dude. All right, guys, I'm here at Rosales Tours, Roatan, West End. Definitely come out here and check it out. If you're out here, little spot right here on the beach in West End. They got your boat tours, your scooter rentals. Check out the little kiosk sign behind me. Great hookup. All the WhatsApp information's on the stickers and whatnot. You can see the sign back here behind me. And I'm out here on Roatan, did the snorkeling tour. Be throwing all that overview footage in there, checking everything out. And then definitely, if you're here on the island, come out and check out the kiosk. They'll hook you up with any kind of any activities that you want to do while you're out here. Thanks for watching. Bone out.